Hello everybody, Steve Griffiths here, developer of the MTPredictor software program. In today's MTPredictor video, I'd like to look at what I thought was an absolutely perfect picture on the YM yesterday. This happens sometimes, and we want to take a look at it in today's video. But as usual, we start with our risk disclaimer. Just remind you that all examples in these videos should be considered as hypothetical. No trades are actually taken. They're just shown for illustration and training purposes only. Remind you again, there's a risk of loss in trading and investing. Put another way, all professional traders know and understand, but more importantly accept, that losses can and will and do unfold. It doesn't matter what trading approach you take, there always will be losing trades, and that's important to accept as a professional trader. Right, I want to look at the YM for yesterday. I've deliberately gone back a bit so we can't see the second part of the chart. For you guys who've been following us for a while will know that we teach that markets go in cycles. And this is important because it's important to understand that half the time or slightly more the market pattern will basically be unclear. In other words, it will basically be random. In other words, you can't do any kind of meaningful analysis. And I think this is a point that people get stuck with. They seem to think they can do analysis or the picture's clear every day. It's simply not. Just over half the time you simply won't know what's going on. Then there are days like yesterday when it just comes together like an absolute perfect picture. It's like almost the fog clearing. Half the time it's foggy, you can't really see where you're going, therefore you shouldn't do any trades at all. Suddenly the fog clears and it's just, well, absolutely perfect. So let's have a look at yesterday on the YM. We can see the market opened down a bit, drifted down and made a low, then started to rally back up again. So as usual, we look for two time frame analysis where we look to the higher time frame to get the larger degree trend. So I'm just going to go to the 15-minute chart. I'm just going to use training mode to jump back just after the low yesterday morning. There you go. You can see there's the last high. The market came down here to this low here. So we then place DPs on our charts. So I go back to the last pivot high. There it is there. I right mouse click, do decision point. As you can see, that's on the chart in advance. That's important to understand. These are leading indicators. They're there before the market even gets there. So that's what you're working with. You're working with the market that has not got to its next resistance area. Right, I now want to go down to the 3-minute chart. And I want to just use our training mode now to jump back to, again, just after that low. You can now see a bit more of the chart. So this is the position a bit earlier in the day. So I just want to work through this with training mode just to show you how it's important to wait until the picture's clear. This is I cannot stress this enough, is that most amateur traders overtrade. They try and trade every day. The reality is it's simply, you can't do that. You have to wait till the picture's clear. So here's our picture. At the moment, it's not, don't quite know what's going on. The market looks to be, hasn't reached our high there. The MTP trend is blue, so the larger trend looks to be up at the moment. So let's just go forward. As we can see, we start to get some sell setups. There's one there. Interesting, you see the way that's removed from the chart. It's removed from the chart because the entry trigger was never exceeded. You can see there's our entry trigger at 78. If I go forward a bar, that was never exceeded, therefore there's no need to keep that label on the chart. So if you ever see people talk about MTPredictor removing or relabeling or repainting a chart, it means they don't seem to understand that we don't need to keep labels on the chart when a trade has not filled the next bar. So that's an interesting side point. But you can see our MTP trend is up, so we don't want to be looking for sell setups. There's another sell setup. Here's another one. This time, this would have actually went through the level, therefore we keep it on the label on the chart. But of course, again, this is not the kind of one we want to take because our MTP trend is blue. Our largely trend is up into this high here, so you wouldn't want to take that. So let's keep on going. So you can see here, we're not quite sure what's happening. Market's going up a bit, market's going up a bit. There was a sell set up there. Again, you don't really want to be taking this. Market's going up, market's going up, market's going up. It then starts to come back down again. So let's have a look at what the market pattern is at the moment. So I'll just right mouse click. So we haven't reached the high. Can you see that? That's the important point. We haven't reached this resistance level. So therefore MTP trend is blue, therefore the large degree trend is still up. Let's right mouse click here, do Elliott wave intermediate, and you can see suddenly we're at the minimum wave 5 WPT with a lovely clear clean 5-wave sequence going up here. What do we know from the using MTPredictor? We know that after a completed 5-wave sequence, we know that the first area of potential support in this example, because the market's coming down off a wave 5 high, would be the DP from the wave 4. So let's place this on advance. On in advance. We right mouse click from the wave 4, we do DP, there it is, the potential support. Again, I can't stress this enough. Can you see how that support is on the chart in advance? So what's the time now? The time now is around about 12:15. There you go, 12:15. So let's see what happens now. Let's scroll forward. Market goes up, down, starts to go up again, starts to go up again. So again, there's nothing coming in at the moment. We've still got this area of support on there in advance. Then goes into this support area. So suddenly you can say, hang on a second, I'll put that support area on the chart. Let's start to see what happens now. We go forward, nothing. We then suddenly get a TS4 buy setup. So do you see now how suddenly the pattern becomes really clear? Why? Because we haven't reached the large degree resistance. Our MTP trend is blue, the large degree trend is up, and this has also reached the support zone that we had on the chart. Let's see what the time is. There you are. The time is about just 20 past 1. So we had this support zone on our chart an hour earlier. In other words, an hour before this got here, we were prepared for this level in advance. So we're not reacting to a scanner. Yes, we have our scanners here to help us give confirmation, but can you see how this was here in advance? But look how perfect this picture is. This is what we need to wait for with MTPredictor, and what I stress every day is that here we had a lovely 5-wave sequence going up. The market went down into the DP from the wave 4. Our MTP trend is blue. We hadn't reached our large degree resistance area, therefore the large degree trend was up. Everything was coming together absolutely perfectly. I mean, this is absolutely perfect picture. So now we right mouse click over the blue buy bar. We place our analysis on, and here we have our position sizing. You can use different size accounts. So if you have a bigger account or a smaller account, it adjusts the position sizing accordingly. Let's keep it on our default $20,000 account, risking less than 2%. So now let's go forward, and there we are in a long trade. The number of contracts is calculated to keep our initial risk small and under control at -1R, or 1 risk unit. Suddenly we go zip, suddenly straight to our profit target, straight like that, and there's a profit of plus 3.6R. In other words, 3.5 times the initial risk. But the point I'm making in this video is that the best way to trade is wait till the picture's clear, and that's what we had at this particular point here. We had an absolutely picture perfect clear pattern. Here we now want to be taking profit because we're at our profit target. We're also at high time frame resistance. If I turn trading mode off, you can see that that was pretty much the high of the day, in and around there. That DP level, it went just beyond it and came back down again and rolled over. So it was a pretty good place to look to take your profit. But that's what I thought was an absolutely perfect example of what to look for with MTPredictor. In other words, we had a lovely pattern. We had our support zones out there in advance before, an hour before the market even got there. We had our large degree trend defined by our DPs on our higher time frame chart. That was confirmed by our blue MTP trend color. In other words, everything was coming together to give you an absolutely perfect and clear and clean picture. Same thing happened on the ES. There's it on the ES. There's your higher time frame resistance. There's your MTP trend blue. There's your TS4 buy setup. Up into the higher time frame DP resistance area. This time for plus 3.4R profit. You can see that pretty much nailed the high of the day as well when the market rolled over from the higher time frame resistance and came down. On the NQ, it was working off its DPs beautifully, where the low of the day there came in at higher time frame support. It went up to higher time frame resistance, drifted sideways, drifted down a bit. That's why the MTP trend was red, so this would not be one you'd want to take because of course the picture wasn't clear. It then went up to the next high time frame resistance, where it then rolled over absolutely perfectly, which then made the high of the day, going into minor support here. But that wasn't anywhere near as clear as the ES. But the main one I liked yesterday was the YM, where we had the lovely 5-wave sequence down into the DP from the prior wave 4, with our MTP trend blue and our large trend up into the hard time frame resistance, and there was the MTP trade setup. So that's what we're looking to do with MTPredictor. We're looking to wait until the picture's clear, and that will only be about half the time. So that's the trick with trading that I've found over the years since I started following the markets back in 1987. So we've been doing this, 32 years, is that markets are random about half the time. In other words, half the time or just slightly more, you should be doing no analysis because the picture's not clear. Stand aside, sit there and have the patience and discipline to wait until everything comes together and give you an absolutely perfect picture. So that was an absolutely great example on the USD minis, in particular the YM yesterday.